Hello and welcome to the Smarketing Show, everyone. We're going to dive into what's really moving the needle for MSPs and the channel. And we're really thrilled to have the other lady in pink, Patricia Ames, President and Analyst of BPO Media. Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you.
We're really excited to have you here today. And, for those of you who don't know her, or you probably do, if you've been to any major event, you've seen her there. And she's asking the questions that matter, right?
Yep, you're flipping the table on me here, Melissa.
Yeah, we are. We are. We're going to make you uncomfortable today. I'm teasing.
Woo!
I'm teasing. I'm teasing. Today's episode we've titled Taking the Lead. So, we're going to break down what separates the top performing MSPs, right, from the pack. And we'll cover the industry trends. Rick, I know you're going to handle that. The key traits that Patricia's seeing in winning MSPs. We'll wrap up with one of your powerful suggestions and we'll just have a great conversation today. So let's just jump in. Aaron, Rick, Patricia, hi.
All right. Hey, and
Hey.
it's we got another new face in the lineup here, Melissa. We got Aaron.
Yes, we do. He's not new. He's new,
Yeah.
but he's not new. Are you new, Aaron?
No. But I'm excited, Patricia, to get the opportunity to ask you questions because I know you're asking everyone else in the industry questions. So looking forward to your feedback.
Now, I'll be able to empathize a little more with everyone after this.
That's right. That's right.
So Patricia, first of all, congrats on all you do for the industry. I mean, you've been doing it for so many years. You and Amy, I think the content you guys put out. I mean, as we focus on sales and marketing, I'm often reliant, to be honest, on what you guys see going on, so we can kind of lift off of that. So I think just congrats on the credibility, and it's a lot of effort to wrangle all these people together for a magazine. So great job. And this is why we wanted to have you on as a guest, is because I don't think there's an industry event or a meeting. I mean, we're both consortium members, proud to be so. But I don't know if there's a venue that happens where you're not at. So we thought, hey, let's flip it around. And I'd be curious, so here we sit, right? We're May-ish of 2025. And with so much happening in the industry, I just thought, maybe you could share what you're seeing in terms of some of the industry trends and what's happening, because you see it through a unique lens to me. You see it through OEM, you see it through distributor, you see it through reseller or dealer MSP, and even from an end user perspective, what you're doing with like workflow automation, all that stuff. So anyway, big question, but what are you seeing out there in terms of trends?
There are a lot of trends, some of which have not changed much in the last couple of years, believe it or not, despite all the changes we've been through. And before I actually go into that list, I do also want to thank you guys because, Rick, you and your team have been very generous in supplying really good subject matter expertise content to our publications. And we thank you for that, especially around the time when we do our big sales and marketing issue, which this year was in February. You've always been willing to provide insight into what you're seeing and what you're working on. So we appreciate that because we do rely on the channel as a collective and kind of crowdsource a lot of the content we do in addition to the pieces that we put out ourselves. So thank you to your whole team for collaborating with us because we really appreciate that. And I think the channel does too, by the way. So, and I see you out there sharing your expertise all the time as well. So, there's a few trends that have been pretty solid the last couple of years, actually. The push to the cloud is continuing. So that cloud as a service, the shift to cloud native solutions and SaaS models continues. This is something that's really important because it's helping those dealers and resellers package up things with predictable costs into these bundles where they can bundle equipment, service, maintenance, and solutions all into one. That is going to keep on going. And as the capacity of the data centers to provide the fast speeds and the storage that we need for that kind of technology to expand and grow and scale, those trends are going to continue, and you see it in our channel all the time. So that's a really big one. It's been around for a little bit. It's going full speed ahead.
What else are you seeing out there?
So a cybersecurity focus, as everybody's aware, the cyber attacks are just ramping up. I believe that the use of AI is not just for the good guys, as we all know, and it's giving bad actors capabilities to personalize their attacks in new ways. Good news, AI is also available to the good guys. So some of the major cybersecurity companies are deploying AI in all kinds of interesting ways that are able to block major threats in real time. The resellers, the MSPs and the office equipment resellers have various models that they're using. Some are very homegrown and home baked, either through building within their own companies or buying a company that is a true cybersecurity focused expert company, but there's also models where they're using a larger company like ConnectWise, for instance, who has a very large market share in our industry. And they work together in order to provide these solutions to their end users, but also to their own operations, because one of the biggest targets are the MSPs and the office equipment resellers for cybersecurity breaches. So they ransomware attacks. So that's just getting more complicated. It's requiring more resources. Dealers that aren't actively engaged in providing some kind of security solutions for their customers are going to find it harder and harder to grow. The good news is there's lots of different ways to do it. I mentioned that you can, grow, buy, or partner. And so it's becoming easier and easier to provide tools and solutions to their end user customers. It could be legal. It could be hospitals who are a target of breaches all the time. But a lot of the dealers are in the hospital systems, right? Small dental offices. There's just education is a big one for our community, our channel. All of these are also attack vectors. So there's a lot of opportunity for growth out there. And I think a lot of the more proactive dealers have spent a lot of time and energy focusing on this, and they're seeing good growth with it. So
Yeah, for sure.
Another trend.
Yeah, we're seeing, sorry, you have another one there. We're seeing cybersecurity just to the point, hot as a pistol still.
Yeah.
The one thing we're finding though is that your mid-sized dealer that may not have a cyber expert or subject matter expert, they really do need talent like, I would say arguably number one, ConnectWise out there to, fulfill whether it's demand gen, discovery, analysis, whatever. And, it's the same when it comes to sales and marketing. I'm sure you see it, like it's so difficult now for a dealer, given the complexity of whether it's the go-to-market, the offering, the tech stack, what you want to call it, to be good at everything. And oh, by the way, insert the sales turnover rates from our perspective that are 29 to 40%, and you've got a whole calamity of potential things that may not go right in terms of, driving revenue. But you mentioned AI. I was just curious because you're going into every
Hot button
yeah.
trend.
So what's your okay? Our feel on AI is there's a lot of 30,000-foot talk. This is just me, okay? And I think everybody's competent on chat GPTing a paragraph or whatever it is. But not only are they loose in terms of having an AI policy, which I think most don't have that they should have for code of conduct for their people. But what are you seeing in terms of AI? Because like we're trying to come up with AI products right now that are like easy turnkey, like you can actually understand what the heck it does. But like, what are you seeing the speak out there around AI as a trend?
Well, I do love what you're doing with the tools that you're building for AI that are kind of custom tailored to the channel, but general enough that the lowest level of salesperson is able to tap into that and really get some actual benefit from it and efficiency out of it, which is the goal, because it is an intimidating topic, obviously, right? And it's grown so fast that people haven't had the opportunity to really get used to what this is about, where the impact is going to be. Some are moving at light speed, other things are crawling very slowly. So I did take a look at kind of within the channel right now, granularly, where integration is happening. And it's really it's being integrated into predictive analytics. They were already integrating into this before there was the umbrella term AI.
Yeah.
As you all know, I mean, we were talking about distribution management a while ago. They've had something tapped into data analytics, predictive tools for replenishment of supplies probably 8 years ago. It's not like this hasn't been happening anyway. So people are more used to that type of a model, and we're seeing AI just ramp that up 1,000 times. So it's becoming more and more powerful. There's more advanced customer support type things going on now with different providers creating apps and tools and chatbots that are now pretty readily available actually in the channel. So those tools are being tapped into. And one of the big ones is in marketing. And AI can be used in a lot of different ways in marketing. And I'll probably talk a little on the other side about the challenges of some of that, because there's pros and cons, obviously, but I'd say the major pro is being able to really target and customize for marketing for the dealers to their end users when they're understanding kind of what those personas are that they're going into in very specific verticals, using AI to help them really refine that, customize that message straight to the individual. That's where there's some excellent power on the sales and marketing side. And
Yeah.
I know you guys are also working with some tools for that.
Yeah, like we're all over it.
Yeah.
And, we're trying to help people do the right things and avoid some of the pitfalls. I was at ECS a couple years ago, and I thought the best definition, and kudos to Mike Stramago for bringing in the gentleman who explained AI. He said, AI is like the paintbrush, but you are still the human. You're the painter. And I think a lot of people don't understand really how to prompt and do it. But anyway, we're excited about the potential. And hey, just before, because I know Aaron's got a question he wants to ask you here. What about just in case you didn't know, we're gonna have to cut our podcast 25% shorter because of the tariffs. I don't know if you got that message. No. What about tariffs? I just want to throw it on the table. Okay, so
Hot
I don't know
button.
if you mentioned Nicole with that, but this is obviously a headwind that the channel's facing. Any thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thoughts on that. And I'll tell you that when we were going to talk, I knew that we were going to discuss trends. And my number one trend is actually tariffs, which is a counterintuitive kind of approach to the question, obviously. But the tariffs are going to impact everything. They are impacting everything already. We have seen, and we've been looking at this from a pretty holistic viewpoint, right? So people have been OEMs have ordered as much equipment as they can, so it's here. The dealers have ordered as much equipment as they can afford to load up, because the tariffs themselves are one issue, and what the ultimate pricing is going to be is still up in the air. The reality is, while the equipment may be manufactured in Japan, the parts are sourced from all over the globe.
Right.
It's probably some of the most international pieces of equipment in the world. So a lot of it is coming, at least in part, from China, right? So the way these pricing models are going to work out is whatever advanced algorithm they're using, they're going to need AI chips, quantum chips, to crunch these numbers, and they're changing every single day because there's no set formula in place. So obviously there's a price impact. People are aware of it and taking proactive measures wherever they can. Dealers are probably really encouraging their customers to buy now while they know what the price is, if they have deals in their sales funnel, right? So that's also in play, but there's going to be a supply chain problem again. There's going to be a massive disruption in supply chain. One good side of this is that everybody has become very comfortable in talking about the supply chain. Everybody knows exactly which ports the equipment and parts come into all across the country. The OEMs specifically are granularly adept at discussing supply chain disruption, and unfortunately they're going to need to tap those skills again, because we're going to be talking about supply chain all summer long. Ships aren't coming back full. They're not offloading ships already in Long Beach because they don't know the formulas for the tariff charges yet. This is going to just continue all through the summer. It's going to be a real problem. So that's going to impact our business, and it's going to impact the dealers because they're the ones in the middle that are squeezed between the OEMs and their clients. They're used to it at this point. Thank you, pandemic. So they're probably pretty good at having the conversation. At least it's a global conversation. It's not like this is a problem just in our channel, which is good because there were a few just channel specific issues during the pandemic that were self-inflicted, which isn't the case now. So end users are going to have a general understanding that there's major disruption going on when they can't apparently buy Christmas toys for their kids.
So if you're in the industry, you know the best spot to go for tariff updates and insights, right?
Tell me.
theimagingchannel.com.
Well, honestly, I think that maybe it's going to be OEM earnings calls, and perhaps I don't know if you guys are aware of Charlie Brewer, but he is somebody that's been in the industry forever, and he's on the supply side, because I think one of the major impacts is going to be on the supply side, and actionable intelligence has an incredible information website and newsletter, and they're going to be tracking this very carefully, and we collaborate with them and get our information on the supply side from them, as well as we discuss the distributors. They're going to be really important as well for understanding what's going on. So that's supplies, that's distribution management, and it's also TD Synnex and some of the other major distributors in the channel, Ingram Micro. They're all going to be really important, as well as the OEMs, in helping us understand what they're experiencing and then translating that into probably a blog aggressively often. But the dealers are going to have their own view on this as well, right? So that's just going to be a huge trend, whether we like it or not. I don't like it.
Hey,
No.
you say in Vegas where you are, the show must go on, right? So we
show must go on. I think we're used to it at this point. It's gonna be fine, but it's not fun, and it's just another wrench in the wheel. We had such some good momentum coming out of the pandemic. We already have some of our headwinds, right? We know that print is in decline. We know that dealers need to transition to a services-led model, SaaS model where possible, wherever possible. So these are just additional headwinds nobody really wanted.
I know, Aaron, you got a question I want to ask you. Just before, I had a full head of hair when I started to hear about service-led model. I mean, I didn't want to tell you the hit song back then when that came out, because we were hearing it, when we were connecting copiers to, believe it or not, the network back in the day. They had a bunch of us copier reps in the room going, okay, this is a cable. This is a thing. But anyway, then they were talking services led. So it's funny how, stuff evolves and then it becomes new. Sorry, Aaron, I know you had a question for our special.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, I think that the tariff thing, that's just going to be an ever evolving thing that we're all going to have to deal with, and it's changing every day. And it'll be interesting to see kind of how it evolves and how it ultimately ends up affecting the end user, and then you go to market services, right? And actually what it is that we're selling, which kind of segues into now we have this very competitive marketplace, lots of services. Rick talked about turnover. That competitive differentiation is more and more important now on why people should buy from whoever they should buy from, right? And I think MSPs and office technology dealers are trying to figure that out. I think you're right in saying, I totally agree with you in that you've got to go beyond print and add these different services in some way, shape, or form to differentiate yourself. What are you seeing in your kind of conversation observations of people in that space? How are they differentiating their business and their service offerings so that they can stand out?
Great question. I think there's a lot of different ways to kind of create that picture. And you're going to I think dealers are going to have to try different things to see what's really working for them. One of the key ways fits right into your expertise, Aaron, and I touched upon it earlier, but it is around the marketing and the customization that you can create, the individual personal touches that you can put into your marketing to speak straight to that customer that you're looking to reach, and having a sophisticated conversation with them about what they're looking for, how you can customize what you offer them. I think those are real trends. I also think that those are things that the really sophisticated dealers are doing that is making them really stand out. They really need to understand who their customers are, and they need to meet those customers where they are. Like, I have a question. Where are Gen Z salespeople in our channel, the resellers, the young ones? Where are they getting their information about the channel that they're using when they go out to their customers? And where then are those Gen Z customers getting their information about office technology and where they're buying it, right? Those are really good questions that I don't think there's obvious answers to. Experts like you know a lot of these answers because you've been involved in running a large agency in a major metropolitan city that was actually a national operation, right? So that whatever that is, and I don't know, I mean, a simplified answer is TikTok or something, but that's where you need to go and talk to your customers wherever that is, right? And I think the dealers are used to very specific channels, and that works to a certain extent. But if we're talking about what makes you stand out and how can you grow, you've got to go out and meet your customer where they are.
Mm-hmm.
No, I totally agree with you. I think the ICP conversation is a really important one. Your comment on AI, I think that accelerates your ability to understand where your buyer is and be able to speak specifically to them. And then, you know, whether it's Gen Z or whoever it is that's coming into this channel or a buyer in this channel, they want to see differentiation. They don't want to just see a whole bunch of the same, right? Like that sea of sameness. I think it's difficult, but on the same time, I think that there's a huge opportunity, right? So if there's a varying understanding or adoption of that kind of to technology and to marketing, to understand the ICP and meeting your buyer where they are, what do you see some companies out there doing that are different than you've seen maybe over the last couple of years? Like what stands out to you, maybe where they are adapting their services and their communication and they are doing things differently that you see are successful?
I honestly, I'm not sure how much is being done differently. What I do see is a real doubling down on the local communities where they're operating. So they're embedding themselves deeper and deeper into the school systems and sponsoring, you know, I don't know, the Girl Scouts drive, lots of sports sponsorships. That's just getting more and more and more prevalent, right? So working into the local sports teams, not just the box at you know, the big stadium for the National Football League or for instance hockey. Not just that type of sponsorship, but also in the high school football teams and stuff. I was even having a conversation with one of the largest distributors in the US actually, and they were talking about scoreboards and digital signage and the capabilities to sell into that environment for football fields at high schools and even junior high, but also the ability to advertise on those. So becoming really a partner in the community is a really good way to differentiate yourself. And I think the dealers are really doubling down on that. So I think that's one really solid one. I think you can't double down too much within. Now it's a little more complicated with the dealers that are larger and are kind of over a lot of different areas, but they also have more resources, so can do that, right? So there's local news channels. I hear here in Vegas, by the way, Les Olson's on the news all the time on the classic rock channel. So I guess they're aiming for a 50 and up demographic. But I think about it every time I hear it because I've never heard any other office equipment reseller in our community hitting those radio waves, but radio is still popular for things. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, but I think it's really the bigger theme is just doubling down in the communities you serve.
I 100% agree, and I see it too. I see people, whether that's the charities, the schools, the local market radio, direct mail's coming back.
Yes, direct mail is coming back.
People are talking about direct mail now, you know, making that a differentiation. So no, I totally agree. One of the things that I've also seen change in the dealer community, as you know, you move away from print and into services and that type of thing, is the culture and the leadership within the businesses. Could you talk kind of a little bit about, like, you're going to the kickoffs for all these different businesses and you're seeing, how have you seen that evolution from leadership and culture change kind of at different levels throughout this to where we are today?
I think this is a really good question because I was thinking about this a little bit actually before this call, and typically the resellers have been just amazing entrepreneurs, and they're a lot of these are family-owned enterprises that maybe started with the typewriter, and they've been through all of these different technological transitions from ribbon to analog to digital to now services-led organizations, Rick. And so that's a lot to go through this whole digital transformation. And I actually call these amazing entrepreneurs, these dealers, I call them mini transformers, because instead of looking at the big transformations that everyone always talks about, they're going through mini transformations every single day. So they're really adept at adapting to new technology, new ways of thinking, actually, new generations. So all of that is really cool already. But one problem with a lot of entrepreneurs is their ability to delegate. And I think that transition is now happening where they're realizing that the rapid change that's occurring is also requiring more delegation, more cross-functional teams. You also need to rely more on specific expertise, the generalist, which used to be the really important spoke in the system. It's now the specialist. So while salespeople can be excellent salespeople and can be generalists, I see a lot more pairing up of an excellent salesperson with a specialist that might not be the best salesperson, but they're an incredible educator. And that's how they're attacking this more complex environment and really being able to sell in with technology that's involving a lot more components into these end user verticals and really specializing. It costs more, you have more people involved in these deals, but the deals are much bigger value deals as well. And that is how you grow. And those specialists that they're using on for the salespeople, they're also able to train internally and share that expertise. So at least the basic level of specialization is bleeding through to that sales team anyway, right? So there's multiple uses for those cross-functional teams. So as dealers get more adept at building these complex arrangements, they're growing. And those are the ones that are really standing out, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's an excellent point because we see that too, and I think that the MRRs are increasing, the deals are becoming more complex, but they're moving away from the product or the service, and they're focusing on those business challenges and outcomes and how they're helping clients, and that means you have to bring in an expert level person to come in and help you do that, and that generalist is really starting to fade away, which I also think affects the culture and the leadership and the way people approach that. Without naming names, thinking of something, what is call out a success. Who's doing it really well? Who's knocking it out of the park?
I think there's a lot of successes out there. Honestly, there's some that are just kicking it on the security side of things, just massive operations that are growing. They're growing much faster than the print sector, of course. Now, when you start from zero and you grow, it's obviously, hey, we had 200% growth. Sounds great, but they're actually starting to grow into almost an equal party. That takes a long time, a lot of work, and a lot of investment, though, right? But I see production print growing a lot. And as a matter of fact, Aaron, you brought up direct mail marketing. Well, guess what? Guess how that works. You need sophisticated production print equipment that can customize for the recipient, right? So they have their name personalized, and they're talking very specifically to that individual. That type of direct mail marketing has a much higher rate of return, ROI. And so selling that production print equipment is another way to find growth. And then there's all kinds of adjacencies, as you know, from physical security systems at facilities, which may be more and more necessary these days. I can name a lot of companies that might want some right now. Return to office has been really slow, but it's happening, right? So now that the buildings are not completely empty anymore, the security features are needed in different ways. So it's different to secure an empty facility than it is to keep a facility safe, right? I do think that unified communication systems are ever more important. So dealers working with UCAS have seen a lot of success, a lot of growth. And unfortunately, in the United States, at least with the school systems specifically, and keeping communication safe when maybe there's an incident on campus, not just universities, let's think community colleges, let's think high schools. Those systems, those immediate emergency alert systems, lockdown systems, police, automatic calling to the police. All of those things are really important, and those are areas that dealers are actively involved in and seeing a lot of growth in. So,
No, that's good insight. I like that. I think you nailed it in the beginning when you said, it's all about personalization, AI, all these, being able to delve into the community and being able to speak to exactly where your clients are. I think that's where all this is going. That's what we're seeing on our side. I know Melissa has some stuff to cover off on too, but yeah, thanks a lot for providing your insights into this, Patricia. I really appreciate the opportunity to get to interview the interviewer.
Yes,
well, I only sweated a little bit, so I think we're okay.
You sweat through your green blouse, so you had to wear your pink one.
That's right.
Good transition.
Yep.
Hey, you talked to Aaron and Rick both about, doubling down, getting involved in the community, et cetera, and what, what you're seeing with great dealers, et cetera. But if there is something you could offer, one bold suggestion for 2025 of how a dealer can really set themselves apart, what would that be? And maybe you've talked about it a little bit already here, but let's just go back there a little bit.
You know what? Honestly, I think it's getting all your ducks in a row. Have the best planning you can in advance because there's a lot of unknowns coming up. So if you get your house in order and you've got a pretty good ship, then you're going to be able to address anything and get through this relatively unscathed, I think. I don't want to make it sound like we're going through like Armageddon or something, but uncertainty. It's easier to deal with incoming when your ship is in order. So as buttoned down as you can be should set you up really well, because also through uncertainty, some of the biggest opportunities arise. So be ready and get in on it. When you see something that looks like a really good idea, just double down on that and go for it, because opportunity is going to be in the middle of all of this. And a lot of that opportunity is probably around some of this new technology and the capabilities we're going to have with that. So
for sure. I couldn't agree more. And, you spoke about it earlier, right? We've already been through a pandemic where we said this is the new normal. So I think people are more adept to change now, and this is just another wave, and let's ride it, right? And if your ship's in order, you can. No, I love that. So I have a follow-up question to that. It would be, where do you think MSPs are leaving perhaps an opportunity on the table? If you were to see one, just to, tie into that a little bit.
I honestly think that the fact that you are in the customer's back end, their systems, the more you can learn about that customer, the more things that you can offer them, looking at where their pain points are. Maybe it's in workflow automation, document management solutions that feed directly and require less of a human touch to them, automating the payroll. There's just, HR onboarding. There's chat bots. There's just so many things that the MSPs can be involved in that their customers need. So the more you know about your customer, the more places you're going to be able to help them. And if you're in there and they like you, they want to do more business with you. And that is something we know. So I think just really understanding your customers is probably the quickest way to more growth.
Awesome.
Yeah, because I think, we're talking a lot about our channel going through, adversity, but the end users are going through adversity too. And so to your point, I think it was well put, like there's great times to seize. One is in growth and the other is when maybe it's not going as predicted. The last thing I would say, and you're tied directly into this, Patricia, but as we go forward, I think collaboration with your peers and industry
Absolutely.
You know, people in the industry like the consortium and whatnot, I think help you level set on I'm not the only one, and or you find best practices. And I always learn from others. I mean, when Aaron and I or Melissa talk to dealers, you know, they're very entrepreneurial, and it's surprising how, you know, geez, I didn't think of it that way. So anyway, collaboration, what you do, you know, with your media and all that stuff, I think is got to be top of mind right now to know what other people are doing to navigate through. Sorry,
Yeah,
anyway, Melissa, I don't know
100%.
if you want to take us home or
Hey, Patricia, thank you so much. This has been super, super fun today and really insightful. And I know that our audience is going to get a lot out of this. If you're looking to follow Patricia, theimagingchannel.com, and the latest issue, Tech Trends, is out now. And I know you're going to want to get a hold of that and
it's
get up
awesome.
to
Thanks
speed.
for jumping
It is
on
so
today.
awesome.
Thanks
So
for having me.
awesome.
This is great.
And thanks for matching and not even trying.
It's in the ether.
It is, it is. And if you took away one idea today, like I know I did, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode, subscribe to our channel, leave us a rating, and let us know your thoughts. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks again for tuning in. And thanks again, Patricia, Aaron, and Rick. We've had a great time.
Thank you.
Have a great day.